Welcome back to The Deep Dive, where we take your stack of sources, articles, and research and turn them into the most illuminating conversation you'll have all week. We're skipping the surface skimming today because this material is rooted really deep in memory and history. It just requires a thorough and I think pretty emotional exploration.
That's absolutely right. Today, we are immersing ourselves in the contemporary landscape of Vietnam, specifically through the lens of John Shore's novel Dragon House and, the author's own reflections on his travels.
And the core tension we're looking at isn't just a geographic one.
No, it's also chronological. It's about how the wounds of past conflicts, both the Vietnam War and the more recent Iraq War, how they show up in modern life, not just for the American veterans, but for the next generation of Vietnamese citizens, especially the street children.
So our mission today is really to navigate this incredibly charged terrain, both emotionally and geographically. We've got these vivid excerpts about the characters, the city of Ho Chi Minh, and this profound quest to open a center for homeless girls.
Yeah, and we're going to try and pull out the surprising cultural nuances, understand how, architecture and mythology actually inform resilience, and extract those really powerful stories of redemption that are packed in these pages.
The relevance for you, the listener, is just paramount here. This isn't just a story about a foreign country.
Not at all. It's really a blueprint for understanding how personal trauma doesn't happen in a vacuum. It intersects, sometimes violently, with these big global settings and all this heavy historical baggage.
And it offers those key aha moments, about how universal the desire to heal and to contribute really is, no matter where you are on the map or, frankly, which war broke you.
Exactly.
Okay, let's unpack this journey. To understand the present, we have to start with the past, looking at this deep generational inheritance of war trauma that kicks the whole story off for our protagonist, Iris Rhodes.
Let's do it.
So the narrative begins with Iris Rhodes. She's a 31-year-old book reviewer, and she inherits a mission she absolutely never saw coming.
Right. She's tasked with finishing her deceased father's dream, opening a center for children in Saigon. And it's an incredibly loaded bequest, isn't it? It's tied directly to his experience in the Vietnam War.
It's the ultimate form of inherited responsibility, I think. And the sources make it clear right away that this dream is the direct legacy of his unresolved trauma.
Absolutely. Her father was a Vietnam War veteran who came home, and the word the source uses is shattered. It emphasizes that he struggled with these profound internal demons, these really unpredictable mood swings. And because of that, a lot of broken promises throughout Iris's childhood.
And what's so significant is that Iris, as the child, she internalized all of that chaos. It wasn't until she got older that she started to grasp that his problems weren't just, personal failures unique to him.
Exactly. They were a collective affliction. It was common to veterans of that war. His suffering was this shared cultural experience, but it still defined her family life in a very personal way.
You can feel his desperation to find some kind of redemption. The whole idea for this center wasn't just some vague guilt.
No, it was specific and terrible. He confided in Iris later in life about this deep longing to do something good. And it was tied to a terrible incident involving children he may have seen die during the war.
So this desire for atonement, to offset that original violence with an act of creation and goodness, that's the foundation of the whole project.
It is. It's a tragic symmetry, isn't it? The one specific horror he couldn't shake. Children dying, he tries to counteract by saving a new generation of children.
And the center's name, the Iris Rhodes Center for Street Children, is a complete surprise to her, which is such a beautifully layered detail.
Oh, it's critical. The naming, It shows his immense pride in her. But maybe also it's a kind of confession of his failure to her.
How so?
Well, that he couldn't be the father she needed, but he could leave her this tangible good thing. It's his way of saying, I may have broken my promises, but I want you to finish this one promise for me.
That leads to his final wish, which is it's heartbreakingly poignant and so symbolic of his search for peace.
It really is. Iris brings his cremated remains. And the source is so specific here, describing them not as fine ash.
Right, but as tiny pieces of bone.
Yes, that detail is so powerful. It makes the remains feel concrete, physical, unresolved. A lot like his trauma, really. His promise to her was that if she scattered the remains, he would listen for the children's laughter on the future playground.
And that would be how he would find her.
Exactly. It's his ultimate vision of finding solace in the joy he helped create, not just, in oblivion.
It sets such a high, almost spiritual bar for the whole endeavor. But Iris doesn't go on this journey alone. She's joined by Noah, a family friend, whose trauma is more contemporary but just as devastating.
Right, Noah. He's an Iraq War veteran and an amputee.
And here's where the comparison between these two generations of veterans gets really insightful.
Mm-hmm. Iris's father was shattered by Vietnam decades ago. Noah is being actively haunted by Iraq right now. He's described as having blonde hair, light blue eyes, and almost accidentally stylish look.
A really stark contrast to his profound physical and psychological scars.
A huge contrast. The physical markers are immediate and constant. He's got this carbon fiber prosthesis that chafes his stump, which is always inflamed, and a visible scar curving back from his forehead.
But we have to talk about the psychological scars because the sources suggest Noah is dealing with something deeper than classic PTSD. It really aligns with what we often call moral injury.
That is the crucial synthesis here. His entire psychological state is just consumed by perpetual pain, bitterness, and this intense self-hatred.
Because he feels his life and the death of his friend Wes were utterly meaningless.
Yes, and that they lacked honor. This is the hallmark of moral injury, that crippling realization that your sacrifice was rendered pointless by the political machine that sent you to war. It just strips away the dignity of his service.
And leaves him feeling like a casualty of lies. And his attempt to cope, his escape mechanism is really striking. Vietnamese whiskey.
Yeah. The source describes him needing the alcohol because it temporarily warms him and takes away the pain. It lets him detach. But he knows it's a temptation. He describes the whiskey as calling to him.
The way a lover might from an unmade bed.
That analogy is just masterful. It personifies his self-destruction as this relationship he willingly enters into. The need for oblivion is just relentless.
He even says his hatred for those whose lies cost him his friend and his leg only rests when he's asleep.
Within a womb of oblivion. That specific phrase tells you everything about the depth of his desire to just escape existence entirely. He's looking for a dark, safe place to hide.
And Iris sees this connection immediately. She looks at Noah and sees another casualty, noting that her father was also shattered from a war that wasn't of his making.
So the novel does a great job of bridging that temporal gap between these two American conflicts by showing the universality of the internal breakage, even if the flavor of the injury has changed, from PTSD to moral injury.
And his early demeanor in Saigon just reflects this deep despair. He's sullen. He wants to be left alone.
Yeah, he tells Iris he'd give everything for one do-over in life. When he first sees her in their hotel room, the source says he feels nothing. No curiosity, no ambition, not even a sexual urge. It's a true indicator of his emotional numbness.
So the central conflict is set up right away. Can this selfless act, finishing the Center for Strangers, can it save Noah, who is convinced his best parts are gone forever, stolen as completely as his foot?
And can Iris find her own healing by fulfilling her father's dream? Or is she just going to end up inheriting his demons? That's the core question.
It's clear Iris and Noah are carrying their ghosts internally. But let's talk about the terrain itself. What did the author find when he placed these two shattered people into a city that is, itself, trying to both forget and remember its own history? How does the external setting of Ho Chi Minh City amplify or maybe absorb their internal turmoil?
That's a great question. Shifting from the internal to the external, the setting immediately becomes a major character in the story. Ho Chi Minh City, or as the locals overwhelmingly prefer to call it, Saigon.
Yeah, that detail is fascinating. The bartender tells Noah that only young people and government people say Ho Chi Minh City.
Right, that quiet resistance, that preference for the historical name, it speaks volumes about the lingering cultural and political undercurrents. It's a way of claiming their history.
But physically, the city is described as a kaleidoscope of old versus new, memories versus ideas, stone versus chrome.
It's a place of profound, almost violent contrast. It pulsates like a hive containing every insect species on Earth. And what's fascinating is the sheer velocity and sensory overload. This constant frantic motion is the key insight into modern Vietnam.
It feels like a country so dedicated to relentless commerce and survival that it almost pushes the past away through sheer speed.
It does. The visual chaos is overwhelming. The roads are just this constant stream of life, thriving with countless motor scooters, trucks, and ox-driven carts.
And we get these incredible details of scooters carrying impossible loads.
Oh, refrigerators, live pigs.
Wedding cakes, steel girders, weaving through traffic like fish in these fast currents, this economic dynamism. It becomes the new national form of resilience.
And this movement provides the crucial, often jarring contrast that defines the social structure. You have dilapidated bicycle taxis mingling with these customized SUVs.
Right. And sparkling glass and steel hotels like the Louis Vuitton store rising dramatically above areas of squalor and sin just a few yards away.
It paints a complex, almost violent picture of economic shift. You have crippled veterans of the American War, the very men Iris's father fought against, begging on street corners while college students are drinking lattes and texting, seemingly disconnected from all that history.
The city is a full sensory experience.
Totally. The air itself is damp and hot, thick with the breath of people and machines, and commerce dictates everything. The shops sell axles and refrigerators right next to war relics, hova and the Io Day, the traditional dress.
It really emphasizes that despite all the rapid change, the deep cultural roots and the painful historical markers are still right there, visible, stacked next to the new chrome.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when Iris and Thien, her Vietnamese guide, leave the city, the setting takes on this almost mythic quality, starting with the Mekong Delta.
Ah, yes, the River of Nine Dragons. The Mekong Delta is vast, and the local name, Song Cu Long, connects the geography directly to the Vietnamese belief system.
Because the river breaks into 9 parts before it reaches the sea.
Exactly. And the sources note that other cultures have different names for it, but Thien, the local guide, staunchly prefers the Vietnamese version. It's her river.
And the imagery there is unforgettable. These immense wooden barges, blue with red trim, curved like bananas.
Fighting the currents like slugs in the muddy water. But the most memorable detail is the painted yellow and black owlish eyes on the bow.
Right, to warn the smaller vessels.
It's a world built entirely on water, a constant flow. The delta is filled with water lilies, ancient houseboats, floating markets. And of course, the mythic elements persist. Thien mentions that the river is said to host giant catfish as long as a truck.
It's incredible. Then, moving even further north, the novel contrasts the frenetic pace of Ho Chi Minh City with the capital, Hanoi, which is described as moving slower.
Yeah, Hanoi offers these places of peace that contrast so sharply with Saigon. You have Hoan Kiem Lake, surrounded by massive willow trees, and the curved red bridge named the Flood of Morning Sunlight,
Leading to the Temple of the Jade Mound.
which is dedicated to literary masters. It suggests a city that values contemplation and intellect, not just the overwhelming commerce of the South.
But the real highlight of the northern trip, which Noah takes later, is Halong Bay. This brings the dragon mythology full circle and gives Noah his first real chance at some perspective outside of his own pain.
Yes. Thien shares the legend of Halong Bay with him, and this is where the cultural insights really land. During an ancient war with China, dragons came to help Vietnam by spitting out giant pieces of jade.
And those jade pieces turn into the thousands of islands that create this natural, impenetrable barrier.
And once peace was secured, the dragons decided they loved the bay so much they chose to live in the blue waters, only swimming when the bay is rough.
That distinction is so remarkable. How much of Noah's healing, do you think, hinges on him internalizing that Eastern view? That a powerful mythic force like a dragon can represent protection and purity, not just destruction.
I think it's central to his transformation. In the West, as Iris notes, dragons are usually seen as evil creatures to be destroyed.
Right.
But in Vietnamese belief, they're deeply integrated into the natural world or ruling seas, guarding treasures, crying warm rain. They symbolize loyalty, purity, and strength. This contrast is crucial for the novel's themes. The dragons symbolize the very resilience of Vietnam that Iris and Noah have to learn to appreciate.
The external setting of Vietnam is immense and beautiful, but it's also the backdrop for the novel's most urgent concern, the children. Iris's center is focused on saving them, but the reality of their street life is just brutal, starting with the heartbreaking story of Tam and Queer.
Yeah, Quy, the grandmother, or little bird, is struggling so desperately to keep her sick granddaughter, Tam, alive.
Yeah.
And that nickname is so poignant because she carries Tam everywhere on her back, suggesting they fly together even through all this suffering.
And Tam is suffering from this sickness. It causes profound weariness, aching joints. The sources really imply it's an undiagnosed, probably terminal illness.
And their entire existence revolves around begging, specifically asking tourists to buy a book just to get enough local currency, the dong, for cheap painkillers.
They are literally trading these fleeting moments of tourist interaction for temporary relief from this deep systemic pain.
And Quy maintains this terrible but, necessary lie of hope. She tells Tam her mother's in Thailand, working hard to buy medicine, knowing full well it's not true.
It's a final desperate act of protection.
Exactly. sheltering Tam from the knowledge that she's been abandoned and is likely dying.
The description of their home, it just defines squalor. A room on stilts over a canal, a vinyl tarp for an entrance.
The bed is stacked garbage bags full of crumpled newspaper, and a square hole in the floor is their toilet. It's such a powerful illustration of the poverty this center is trying to combat.
And this squalor is just violently juxtaposed against the city's spectacular wealth. Key goes to the wealthy downtown area, sees the Louis Vuitton store, that diamonds set on a giant's ring, where purses sell for enough to buy Tam's painkillers for months.
The inequality isn't just conceptual. It's a painful, obvious daily reality for them.
Then we meet Mai and Min, this dynamic duo who represent the sheer hustle required for street survival.
Right. Mai is the talkative one, using broken English to sell fans and postcards to tourists, constantly worried about failing to meet their quota.
And Min is her silent counterpart. He's missing a hand, just a stump. But he's an expert Connect 4 player who earns most of their money with his gaming skills.
Their roles are perfectly balanced. Mai is the distraction and the saleswoman. Min is the sharp, silent professional providing their financial baseline.
But their survival is controlled by the exploiter, Locke.
Ugh, Locke. He's a dangerous man dependent on opium, and Mai and Min have to pay him $5 every day for protection.
And if they fail, his cruelty is absolute. He'll beat them, press Mai's face into the water, and the sources suggest his violence is calculated, implying he may have even been the one who took Min's hand.
So the children's skills aren't frivolous, they are purely necessary. Winning at Connect 4 isn't just a game for Min.
A single win can feed them for a full day.
Exactly. He lives in this constant, paralyzing fear of Locke finding him. And yet, despite all this, Mai holds on to this simple, powerful dream.
She just wants to go to school and find a magical building where she can paint beautiful things like the clouds she sees on the sun's ceiling.
That dream, that simple desire for safety and beauty, is what Iris and Noah are fighting for.
But they run headfirst into Captain Son, the local policeman, who adds this layer of complex, cynical authority to Iris's efforts.
Yeah, Son. He has failing eyesight from a war injury and has to rely on listening and information gathering. It makes him this figure who sort of sees the city's darkness without physically needing to look.
And he's this perfectly drawn anti-hero with painfully conflicting loyalties. He gives Iris this brutal warning that just exposes the systemic nature of exploitation.
He does. He tells her she can't just save the children because, in his words, people need them, meaning exploiters like Locke rely on them as an income stream. He explicitly warns her not to take children from the wrong kind of people.
So he's simultaneously upholding the very structure that allows the exploitation, telling her not to meddle, while being driven by this profound personal shame over what Vietnam has become. How does that tension play out?
It seems like a blend of cynicism and realism. He offers practical, if brutally cynical, advice about the center's curriculum. He stresses skills like sewing, cooking, cleaning, arguing that for most street girls, those jobs are essential to getting them off the street immediately.
He sees the dream of university as unattainable for most of them.
He does. It's the advice of someone who has seen too much failure to believe in idealism. But then, the switch flips.
He reveals himself to be a secret ally.
Yes, motivated by this deep sense of national shame. He sees these children as the country's future. He secretly promises Iris protection, telling her to take the girls to a park and wait.
And this is the moment we realize his moral compass isn't broken, just bent.
Right. He says he'll change clothes, watch to see who follows them, and vows to take this person away. He says 1 hour, forever, that be their choice.
Wow.
He's using his insider knowledge and police authority for covert good, trying to help without jeopardizing his position in a corrupt system. His involvement is essential.
The groundwork is laid. Iris has her mission, Noah has his trauma, the children have their fear, and Son has provided this dangerous thread of protection. The central narrative arc now becomes the literal and figurative building of the center, which acts as the crucible for Iris's and Noah's healing.
And the physical space immediately starts to reflect the hope they're trying to create. Iris and Tien paint the dormitory ceiling blue with white cloud outlines.
And Thien, who is always smiling and singing, a true embodiment of that Vietnamese resilience, she views this as creating good Vietnamese clouds, full of rain and dragons.
She's integrating the mythology of protection right into the children's sleeping space.
And this is where the external labor becomes an internal treatment for Noah. He throws himself into building the playground, working until his body is screaming in pain.
And this isn't just productive effort. It's a form of active, constructive self-punishment. He's deliberately pushing himself, ripping off his prosthesis to continue hopping and attacking the task.
He sees it as a way to hurt himself, to stop thinking.
It's the exact opposite of the oblivion he sought with whiskey. He's substituting destructive self-harm with exhausting, physically demanding self-harm that has a positive outcome for others. The pain is still there, but now it's tied to creation.
His focus finally shifts from self-hatred to creating joy when Thien inspires him with an idea for Tam, the girl who is slowly dying.
Right. He builds her a special seesaw with an elephant profile on one end and a space for a water buffalo on the other. This simple, concrete project focuses his energy completely away from bitterness and toward finding a simple gratitude for a moment of solace.
This seesaw project is arguably the most important symbolic moment for Noah.
I think so. He spends days detailing the elephant's ears and the water buffalo's horns. He is literally constructing a pathway to joy for someone else, channeling his discipline, the qualities that made him a good soldier, into healing.
And the culmination is Tam's profound final happiness. When she takes her first ride, the sources say she's completely oblivious to the cancer gnawing at her bones, believing she has been saved.
It's a moment of pure, transcendent joy, gifted to her by a man who thought he had nothing left to give.
The physical space is completed with practical things, too. The open roof becomes a vegetable garden planted in a rowboat where the children learn to grow their own food.
Right, which instills self-sufficiency and life skills, fulfilling San's pragmatic advice while still offering hope.
This process of construction is mirrored by the transformation of the main characters. Iris moves from nervousness and panic to sheer determination.
She does. She even gets a Honda scooter Noah buys for her, which makes her feel like a bird navigating the city, giving her a sense of freedom and control.
And Thien serves as the ultimate guide and emotional anchor.
She is the embodiment of resilience. She shows Noah this genuine, non-judgmental compassion. When he's struggling with his drinking, she makes him a mango whiskey drink and offers to sing to take away his pain.
She doesn't condemn his choice, she just tries to offer a better alternative.
Exactly, and her singing is described as a living thing, so pure and powerful that it envelops Noah in purity and strength and loveliness.
It's the sonic equivalent of the dragon mythology.
It is. And Noah has a true awakening through her acceptance. He begins to feel happiness again, which culminates in him confessing his love for Thien. He realizes she makes him want to sing, and that his capacity for love is not dead.
He finds something worth fighting for, not just escaping from.
That's the turning point.
But their progress is violently tested during the confrontation and rescue. Locke, angry and desperate, kidnaps Mai and Min right from the center's playground.
He uses the center's own space as a trap, and he threatens to poke Mai's eye out with a nail, showing his absolute casual cruelty.
This is where Thien's courage just explodes onto the page. She and Noah immediately pursue Locke on Iris's scooter.
She drives recklessly through back roads, maneuvering like the wind, making their scooter look like an ant scurrying among turtles in the Saigon traffic.
During this terrifying chase, we get Min's most profound moment.
Yes, Min, who has been mostly silent out of fear, finally speaks. He whispers to Mai, revealing he can speak English and has a plan to help Noah find them.
Using his visible stump and the hidden money he'd stashed in his sandal.
It's the moment survival transforms into agency. Min, the quiet hustler, shows his deep intelligence and courage, and he reveals his dream. He wants to study the ocean.
The rescue itself is brutal for Noah, though. It's a final re-traumatization. Locke's associates capture him and viciously beat him with an oar, repeatedly striking his stump.
His stump, the very embodiment of his war trauma. But he endures it, knowing his self-hatred is gone, replaced by the need to protect Thien and the children.
And then he's rescued by Locke's own uncle.
An incredible twist. A powerful local criminal who intervenes not out of moral goodness, but practicality and a strange old-school sense of honor.
He recognizes Noah as a good man trying to save the children.
And Noah tells the uncle about building the seesaw for Tam. That story of selfless creation convinces the uncle to grant him protection and deal with Locke.
The ending, however, remains realistic. It's marked by loss alongside the hope.
Yes. Tam and Kui die shortly after being taken in, but they die together, holding hands. Their suffering is over, and they found dignity in their final moments.
And the center is renamed the Tam Tran Center for Street Children in her honor. Iris realizes her experience has given her a profound understanding of the human spirit's ability to soar, something she never found in books.
And the future is brightened by these new connections. Mai and Min are saved and join the center. Mai takes up painting. And Noah promises to stay and travel with Theen, starting the relationship and continuing the work of creation.
It's always so fascinating to pull back and see the author's intent, particularly when a novel is so rooted in a specific place. John Shores, the author, has a strong history of travel in Vietnam.
Absolutely. He first visited in 1993, shortly after the country reopened to American tourists. He came back in '99 and then again in 2007 for specific research. This long engagement let him observe significant changes firsthand.
And his observations speak directly to the rapid modernization we talked about.
They do. He was amazed by the economic shift between 1993 and 2007, specifically noting the visible switch from nearly everyone on a bicycle to everyone being on a motor scooter.
And the fancy hotels and restaurants popping up everywhere.
Right. It shows the country's collective dedication to moving forward. But crucially, he was continually amazed by the lack of malice toward Americans.
That's a huge point.
It is. He noted that veterans who fought with or against the U.S. were universally welcoming, often saying the past was the past. This genuine hospitality, this commitment to looking forward, is key to understanding characters like Theen.
And it contrasts so starkly with the inability of American veterans like Noah and Iris's father to leave the past behind.
But what he found most compelling were the street children themselves. He described them as bright and eager and quick to laugh, noting they overwhelmingly preferred to work selling trinkets, fans, postcards, rather than just begging.
That powerful entrepreneurial spirit shines through in Mai and Min.
Definitely. He shares this great anecdote from his '93 trip. He offered a young boy some coins, but the boy refused to just take them. He insisted on working. Shores asked him to find an English-language newspaper. The boy came back 30 minutes later with an old USA Today, grinning from ear to ear about his accomplishment. It just emphasizes their inherent drive. They aren't passive victims, they are sharp survivors.
So what was the novel's core purpose beyond telling a moving story? Shores is explicit that his goal was to use the novel's platform for awareness and action.
Yeah, his stated goal is to expose readers to the sufferings of street children, a problem he feels doesn't get the attention it deserves both in Asia and domestically.
He cites statistics that make it a global crisis. An estimated 1 out of every 4 homeless individuals in the U.S. is a child.
The problem is everywhere. It just looks different. And he aligned the book's success with tangible charitable support. He plans to donate funds to organizations like the Blue Dragon Children's Foundation in Vietnam and Stand Up for Kids in the U.S.
So the novel becomes an action item itself.
It's a powerful statement. The narrative of healing extends far beyond the fictional pages. It proves that literary passion can directly fuel real-world change.
This deep dive into Dragon House has taken us from the generational scars of war, seeing how trauma evolved from the PTSD of the Vietnam era to the moral injury of the Iraq War, all set against the chaotic beauty of modern Vietnam.
And the central conflict for both Iris and Noah was that struggle to find purpose and meaning in a world that had dealt them profound, undeserved pain.
The transformation really hinged on a crucial insight. Their commitment to creation for something external, the children, had to come before the resolution of their own internal pain.
We saw the specific cultural insights from the benevolent protective dragons of Halong Bay to the inspiring practical resilience of figures like Thien, who served as that emotional bridge between two shattered worlds.
And the most profound takeaway is the resilience of the human spirit. Iris realizes it's something that couldn't be easily beaten, easily caged. This ability to laugh and love and create despite having nothing is the true jewel of Vietnam.
We saw how Noah found healing not through introspection, but through the painful, constructive labor of building a playground. That shift in focus from destructive escape to active creation, especially building that elephant and water buffalo seesaw, was his moment of profound redemption.
So this provides a provocative thought for you, the learner, as you synthesize all this. We've seen how Noah found healing by focusing his energy entirely on an external purpose, on saving others as a way to save himself. For you, what simple, concrete action could be your own seesaw moment? How might you focus your energy on creating joy or safety or purpose for others rather than just fighting the demons within, and find that your own capacity for love and contribution is not dead?
That's something worth pondering on your own deep dive. The simplest act of creation often provides the most lasting relief.
Thank you for joining us for this incredibly moving conversation. We'll see you next time.